In this lecture, I'll provide more examples to clarify the idea of nodes. A node connects two electrical components or more, a resistor with a resistor, a resistor with a voltage source, or a voltage source with another voltage source. This is our previous example. Circuit with three resistors and one voltage source. In this circuit, there are four nodes. All these nodes, I will call them S nodes because it connects only two elements. And this is the name I use it for it, S node. Example 2 is another circuit. This time we have four resistors and one voltage source. If we start to look at connection between electrical component, this is the first wire connecting battery to R1. There is another wire connects R1 to R2. Even though it is not a straight line, this is one wire. And this wire is called node, and this straight line is called another node, 2. So this is node number 1, this is 2, and this another node, I will label it as node 3, node 4, and node 5. Remember, node connects between two electrical elements or more. In this case, only two electrical components, resistor and resistor. So we have 5 nodes. All nodes are S node because they connect only two elements. In example 3, again we have 4 resistors, 1 voltage source. Whenever there is a connection between two electrical components, there is a node. So between connection or the connector between R3 and R4 is one node. Number 1, for example, connector between R4 and VS2, VS R1, 3, R1 and R2, 4, 2 and 3, 5. Regardless of how the line looks, node, when we want to identify node, we look at point that connect or a wire that connect two electrical components. So all these are node. Since the connection point connects only between two elements, it is S node. So we have 5 nodes, all of them are S nodes. Example 4, again we have 4 elements, 4 resistors and 1 voltage source. Nodes here looks different, connecting between this line, 90-degree line, and connecting between R1 and R2, not a straight line. And here is another strange looking wire. All these are nodes, regardless of how it looks. Here 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. What we need to look at to identify nodes, we look at electrical component. So R4 is one electrical component connected to R3 and Vs. Example 5 is another electrical circuit, and we have again different node shape, different connector. So this is 1, this is 2, 3, 4, and finally 5. All nodes are S nodes because it connects only 2 elements. There is another type of nodes, and I would call it P node. And as you see, in P node, the connectors, the wires, the line, call it whatever you want to, connects between more than 2 elements. In this case, 6 resistors. S node connects only between 2 elements. So it is easier for us always to look at S node. The good news, we have only 2 types of nodes. S node that connects between 2 different elements. P node connects between more than 2 elements. So if the number of electrical components more than 2, the node is S node. If they are only 2, the node is P node. This is an example of P node. And if you look at the supply, the negative terminal of the supply is connected through this line to this terminal of R3. This is one wire, this is another one, and this is the third one. So Vs is connected to R3, R2, and R1. And since more than, if you see, this is one line, one wire, and this wire is branched, one to different component. So this is a node connecting 2 elements or more, in this case, more than 2 elements. And this is P node. Number 1, if you look at the second side of, or the second terminal of the battery, it is connected to, again, R3, R2, and R1. There is a connection point, and more than 2 electrical components are connected, so it is P2. Second example is actually a reflective example. And if you look at the battery, the first terminal of the battery, or if you look at the circuit in general before I go to that point, you will see resistor, 3 resistors, and 1 battery. And you will see connectors. These are the connectors. The one I will draw in red. If you look more inside, more in detail about these resistors, if you try to examine them, into the connectors, you will see connectors connect between different electrical components. And this connector connect more than 3 components. So it is node number 1, and this one is node number 2. Sure, this part, this terminal of the battery is different from that terminal. Battery has 2 terminals, so this wire is again is terminal is different from the negative terminal. In example 3, the positive terminal is connected to three different resistors, and the negative terminal connected to the other terminals of the same three resistors. So we have here one node, P node, number one, and here another node, node number two. This is our last example. Also looks similar. One terminal of the battery is connected to three resistors. So this is one node and this is another node. See you in next lecture.